0214. Local time. Northern Arabian Sea, approximately 182 nautical miles southeast of the Strait of Hormuz. The Arabian Sea at 0214 runs flat and dark. A half moon sits low on the southwestern horizon, throwing almost no useful light across the open water. USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN 72, moves northeast at a measured 14 knots, her 97,000 ton displacement, pressing through the calm with the steady indifference of a ship built to hold this water in any condition. Red battle lights glow faintly through the island's portholes. Below the flight deck, 6 levels down in the Combat Information Center, console screens cast cool blue-white light across the faces of watch officers who have been on station for 3 hours without a single alert worth noting. The CIC carries the ambient weight of recycled air, strong black coffee in a ceramic mug someone set down 2 hours ago and forgot, and the low chemical warmth of electronics running hot in a sealed space. Red battle lights paint the overhead. The SPY 1D phased array data feeds scroll across the primary tactical display in the measured, unhurried rhythm of a watch that has logged nothing significant since midnight. Carrier Strike Group 12 holds formation. The guided missile cruiser USS Chosin rides plane guard at the port quarter. Off the starboard beam, USS Jason Dunham and USS Cole maintain prescribed flanking intervals, their AN/SPY-1D arrays, sweeping in continuous silent rotation, painting every surface and airborne contact within 320 nautical miles with the same mechanical patience they have maintained for 19 days at sea. An E-2D Advanced Hawkeye turns wide circles 50 nautical miles ahead of the formation, its rotordome feeding downlinked track data into the Cooperative Engagement Capability Network in near real time. The CEC link connects every ship. What one sensor sees, every fire control system in the formation inherits. 2 FA-18F Super Hornets sit on the bow catapults in Alert 5 configuration. Pilots in cockpits. Engines cold. Catapult tracks cool. The flight deck is quiet and dark except for the white anti-collision lights marking the island structure. An MH-60R Seahawk, callsign Nighthawk 4, holds station 3 nautical miles astern of Lincoln, conducting a routine ASW sanitization sweep of the carrier's wake. Its dipping sonar is deployed at 120 feet, cycling through the water column in a search pattern that finds nothing of interest, which is the desired result, which is what routine means in contested water. The watch supervisor, a lieutenant commander, 14 months into this deployment, the flat economy of someone who has stood this watch every way it can be stood, stands at the center console with a mug that has been empty for 20 minutes. The steady glow of battle screens reflects across every surface. The low hum of conditioned air fills the space. Nothing is moving except the radar sweeps and the ship herself. This is what operational normal looks like. This is the calm that exists before the geometry changes. 0214-31. Then the E-2D calls it. Not an alarm, a contact report, delivered in the practiced flat monotone of airborne crew trained to describe observable facts and nothing beyond them. Hawkeye to Lincoln. Track Hotel. 7. Bearing 285, range 141 nautical miles. Low observable, very low altitude. Subsonic, airborne. The watch supervisor sets down the empty mug. Track Hotel 7 presents a radar return that is marginal in cross-section quality. Reduced well below what a commercial aircraft of any class would produce. Insufficient for the SPY-1D array on Lincoln to resolve to independent track quality. The E-2D is seeing it from elevation, looking down across the surface clutter geometry that normally protects low-altitude contacts from surface-based radar. It is visible from above because it cannot hide from above. Hotel 7 squawks nothing, no IFF return, no Mode C altitude encoding, no ADSB, no radio call on any monitored frequency. It is present, it is airborne, it is subsonic, and it is moving on a heading that, if maintained, will intersect the projected track of Carrier Strike Group 12 in approximately 19 minutes. Not random movement, not a transit. Vectored. The watch supervisor keys his headset. Laud it. 0215-10. The E-2D crew refines the track. Hotel 7 holds at an assessed altitude below 300 feet above the sea surface. Speed 115 knots. Heading 105 degrees. If Hotel 7 maintains present course and speed, closest point of approach to Lincoln calculates to 38.4 nautical miles. 38 nautical miles is not an emergency. It is the first data point in a developing set. The watch supervisor passes the track to the tactical action officer. The TAO, a commander air warfare background, 14 years of sea time distributed across 3 strike groups, examines the geometry without comment. He queries the E2D for passive ESM data. The response returns quickly. No radar emissions, no data link traffic, no navigation transponder signature. A contact of this altitude, this heading, in this airspace, operating with zero electronic emissions at 0214 in the morning, generates one assessment. And that assessment does not require speculation to form. This is demonstrated. Subscribe for more real-time naval analysis and high-stakes maritime breakdowns. Silence from a contact moving toward a carrier strike group is not neutral data. Silence from a contact moving toward a carrier strike group at nap of the Earth altitude with a reduced radar cross-section is the specific kind of silence that belongs at the top of the watch log, with a flag. The TAO lifts the telephone to the commanding officer's cabin. Captain, Tau, air contact, bearing 285, inbound geometry, low observable, no emissions. Requesting your presence in CIC. The response comes without pause. On my way. 0216. 22. The commanding officer of USS Abraham Lincoln arrives in the CIC in a flight suit, expression steady and unremarkable. He reviews the track on the primary tactical display and says nothing for 11 seconds. Since the E2D's initial report, Hotel 7 has already done something notable. It has descended. Assessed altitude is now below 200 feet above the sea surface. The SPY-1D has resolved it to a marginal track, sufficient to display on the primary screen, insufficient to support a weapons quality solution. The contact is flying nap of the Earth, deliberately using the surface radar return of the Arabian Sea to suppress its already reduced cross-section from surface-based detection. Reduced cross-section, zero emissions, nap of the Earth altitude. Three characteristics in combination that cross-reference against a single specific category in the threat library maintained by this strike group. The watch supervisor runs the cross-reference. The profile is consistent with a class of Iranian long-range unmanned aerial vehicles assessed to incorporate reduced observable design features. A platform category carrying an assessed unit cost in the range of $10 to $15 million per airframe, according to open-source Western defense analysis. This assessment cannot be confirmed from external sensor data alone. It is assessed. The distinction matters at the ROE level. And the ROE level is where every decision in this room gets made. Classify contact 021704, CPA updates. The CEC network feeds the recalculation to every ship in the formation simultaneously, every 2 seconds, without exception. CPA 29.1 nautical miles. Time to CPA 14 minutes 37 seconds. The number is moving in one direction only. The TAO initiates an air defense warning. Carrier Strike Group 12 shifts to air defense condition yellow. VLS cells on Chosin and both destroyers cycle through readiness confirmation. Quiet mechanical processes that the crews perform without looking up from their consoles. The ANSLQ-32 Electronic Warfare Suite on Lincoln transitions to active monitoring, sweeping the electromagnetic environment for any emission from Hotel 7's bearing that would indicate an activated seeker, a targeting update, or a weapons-grade radar interrogation. Nothing from Hotel Box. Still silent. Still closing. Maintain course, the CO says. Hold ROE. Lincoln does not maneuver. Not yet. The closing geometry is logged and projected. The response, when it comes, will be calibrated. Not reactive, not early, not uncertain. Deck vibration holds steady through boot soles as the ship's engineering plant maintains 14 knots, with the mechanical indifference of a system that does not know what is developing on the displays, 6 decks above the keel. 0275. The E2D calls a second contact. Hawkeye, new surface contact. Designate Sierra 4. Bearing 268, range 207 nautical miles. Small combatant signature. IRGCN consistent displacement. Stationary. No AIS broadcast. Small combatant class. Assessed Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy profile. Stationary, not transiting, not maneuvering, not conducting any observable maritime activity that would explain its presence in that quadrant at this hour. Stationary in that position, holding while an inbound low observable UAS vectors toward a U.S. carrier is not a coincidence accommodated by any threat model in use by this formation. The assessment forms in the CIC without being stated aloud. Sierra 4 may be providing daylink relay or navigation uplink service to Hotel 7. The drone may not be operating autonomously. It may be receiving course corrections and positional updates from a controller aboard the surface vessel. This is assessed coordination. It is not confirmed. Mark and track. No further editorial. The data sits in the log. The picture adjusts. The deck vibrates faintly through boot soles. Red battle light reflects off every polished surface. 0218-19. Nighthawk 4, the MH-60R Seahawk. Holding station astern. Brakes radio silence. Nighthawk 4, possible subsurface contact. Grid Kilo, Foxtrot, 7. Narrowband tonal bearing 312. Assessing. The dipping sonar has found a narrowband tonal, a low-frequency acoustic signature associated with machinery noise, distinct from the ambient biological and hydrodynamic background of this stretch of the Arabian Sea, bearing 312, off the starboard bow of Lincoln's projected track. The frequency pattern is inconsistent with what routinely occupies this water column. The ASW coordinator queries, Nighthawk 4, bearing drift direction? Drift left, slow. Contact is closing or on converging course. Closing geometry, 2 axes simultaneously. An airborne contact, inbound from the west-northwest. A subsurface acoustic contact with a converging bearing off the starboard bow. The CIC does not announce what this composite picture means. The watch team reads the geometry without commentary. Continue sanitization, the CO says. Report any depth change or speed transient. Nighthawk 4 relocates its dipping sonar. The search continues. CPA on hotel resume, 724.3 nautical miles. Time to CPA, 12 minutes, 4 seconds. 021844. Hotel, 7 accelerates. Speed increases from 115 knots to an assessed 143 knots. Altitude holds under 200 feet. A speed increase combined with maintained nap of the Earth altitude is a specific behavioral signature. Not wandering, not conducting an opportunistic transit, compressing. The time budget for intercept geometry calculation narrows accordingly. This is no longer parallel shadowing, this is compression. The TO calls flight deck status. Alert, 5 aircraft are authorized to transition to engine start. Auxiliary power units on both FA-18Fs begin their rising whine, carrying faintly through the flight deck structure to the CIC below. Pilots run their procedures. The catapults are not yet charged, but the process has begun. Come right, the TO authorizes. The OOD executes a 15-degree course change, opening the geometry slightly and buying classification time. Lincoln comes right, the formation adjusts around her. The phosphorescent wake bends south across the flat black Arabian Sea. CPA, 21.7 nautical miles. Time to CPA, 9 minutes, 12 seconds. 0219-26. The ANSLQ 32 captures a signal from Hotel 7's bearing. A navigation emitter burst. 4 seconds. Low power. Frequency consistent with GPS-aided inertial navigation update protocols assessed to be in use on Iranian long-range UAS platforms. The waveform is logged immediately. The frequency is archived. The ESM team cross-references the emission library. The match probability is sufficient for the TAO to flag the result. Hotel 7 is a real vehicle, navigating actively, receiving positional updates. It is not a ghost return. It is not a sensor artifact from surface clutter. It is navigating on course with intent, assessed intent, the only kind available without a declaration of hostile action. Log it, classify contact. The smallest possible confirmation carrying the largest possible tactical implication. The ESM team pulls the full waveform profile and archives it. Every ship in the formation receives the emission data through the CEC link. CPA, 16.2 nautical miles. Time to CPA, 8 minutes, 10 seconds. 021958. Track quality on Hotel 7 degrades. Hawkeye, Hotel 7 below detection threshold. Assessed below 150 feet, surface clutter interference. Track quality marginal. Projecting on last known. The E2D is losing the picture. At 150 feet above the Arabian Sea, a reduced cross-section contact begins to merge with the surface return. A physics problem no radar resolves without looking down from the right elevation at exactly the right geometry. Track history is solid. The CEC projection holds and continues running forward, but projection is inference built on measurement. Measurement requires a return. The return is degrading. The CIC transitions to passive sensor augmentation. Nighthawk 4 is vectored away from its ASW datum and repositioned toward the projected approach corridor of Hotel 7, placing its forward-looking infrared sensor on the track. The FLIR does not care about radar cross-section. It searches for heat differential. A running drone engine at sea level produces a thermal return no low observable airframe can conceal. Set condition 2. Throughout Lincoln, hatches close and dog. Fire and damage control parties muster at their stations. The ship seals from within. Clipped breathing on the tactical net. MCON discipline tightens. No unnecessary transmissions. The communication restriction is not acknowledged aloud. It is simply observed. 022014. Nighthawk 4 calls a development on the subsurface contact. Nighthawk 4, Sierra, 5 acoustic signature increased. Bearing drift right now. Speed transient, assessed sprint, contact is in sprint. The submarine, assessed contact, unconfirmed platform identity, has executed a speed increase, a sprint. In ASW geometry, a submarine sprint in the approach path of a carrier strike group carries a specific threat implication that does not require elaboration to anyone in the CIC who has spent time in an ASW coordination cell. A submarine sprinting while an inbound UAS closes from the opposite quadrant is not a timing coincidence in any model. The ASW coordinator passes the update. Both contacts are now managed simultaneously on the primary tactical display. Hotel 7 airborne from the west-northwest. Projected CPA continuing to close. Sierra 5 subsurface bearing 312, sprint in progress, bearing drift now right. The commanding officer does not partition his attention between the two tracks. He holds them as a composite picture, a multi-domain operation assessed as coordinated, each asset probing a different layer of the strike group's sensor envelope. Hold ROE, continue sanitization. Log sprint duration. Nighthawk 4 drops a second sonobuoy ahead of the datum, bracketing the subsurface contact. Bearing calls come back clipped and factual on the tactical net. 022041. The hard lock tone. Not from Hotel 7. From Sierra 4. The assessed IRGCN surface vessel stationary at 207 nautical miles west-northwest. An SLQ-32 operators log the emission. A fire control radar sweep. 2-second duration. Frequency consistent with Iranian surface combatant targeting systems. The sweep is brief. It does not reach the 3-second sustained threshold that triggers a weapons-grade illumination assessment under current strike group doctrine. 2 seconds. The threshold is 3. 1 second of margin between a logged sensor check and a formal weapons-grade declaration. Assess that. ESM team assessment. The sweep is consistent with the tactical geometry update. Sierra 4 establishing a position fix or confirming a waypoint parameter for an integrated UAS guidance function. Not a committed fire control solution, not a launch sequence initiation. An assessed sensor calibration that falls 1 second short of the threshold that would change the ROE calculus on every ship in the formation. Below the line, logged in. No one speculates. They log bearing shifts. The CIC runs quiet except for the hum of air handlers and the soft periodic tones of the tactical net. 022115. Nighthawk 4, Tallyho Hotel 7. Bearing 285 from Lincoln. Assessed altitude 80 feet. Contact is real. Thermal return confirmed. Continuing approach. The FLIR has it, 80 feet above the Arabian Sea. A thermal return consistent with a running unmanned aerial vehicle propulsion system. Hot exhaust plume, visible in the infrared, low and fast, and closing. At 80 feet, the contact is flying below Lincoln's own radar mast. At this altitude and this geometry, if a kinetic payload is mounted on that airframe, the time from release to potential impact compresses towards seconds, not minutes, seconds. Launch interceptors. Steam pressure builds in both catapult cylinders. The two Fa-18Fs receive their launch authorization. Both throttles advance, catapults stroke in sequence. Both aircraft are airborne within 90 seconds of each other. Climbing hard into the dark Arabian sky, banking northwest on vectors from the E2D, accelerating through 400 knots and descending towards sea-level intercept geometry. Strike 1, Angels 2. Lead pilot reports altitude, 2,000 feet. Low, fast, converging. Chosens and /SEPY. 1B, elevated above Lincoln's mast line, resolves Hotel 7 to track quality from its angle. The CEC link updates across the entire network. The track is back. The countdown resumes. CPA, 7.1 nautical miles. Time to CPA, 3 minutes 31 seconds. 022144. Under 7 nautical miles. ESSM batteries on Lincoln standby. SM6 interceptors in Chosen's forward VLS cells are initialized with Hotel 7's track data. Elevation angle, speed, bearing, projected CPA. The engagement quality solution is resident on 2 platforms simultaneously. Computed, confirmed, ready. The lead FA-18F's APG-79 AESA radar holds a clean lock on Hotel staff. 7 from above, stripped of the surface clutter problem that degrades every surface-based radar attempting the same geometry. Lock confirmed. Strike 1 weapons quality solution. The ROE framework is precise and unambiguous. Engagement authority requires a confirmed hostile act or confirmed hostile intent supported by observable behavior that crosses a defined threshold. That threshold, in this strike group's current posture, includes active seeker lock illumination on a U.S. vessel, confirmed weapons release, or closing inside 3 nautical miles on a direct approach course without course deviation. Hotel 7 is at 7.1 nautical miles. The threshold is 3 nautical miles. Time to threshold crossing at current course and speed, 2 minutes, 6 seconds. VLSL cycling live. ESSM warm. APGG. 7-9 lock nominal. The engagement quality solution is held at the precise edge of authority. Consciously, deliberately, and with the full awareness that the next 126 seconds will determine which side of the threshold this contact reaches. Mark and track. Maintain ROE. The CO does not look away from the display. The CIC crew does not look at the CO. Everyone faces their own console. 022201. Hotel 7, you are operating in restricted airspace. Alter course immediately or risk being fired upon. Guard frequency, 121.5 MHz. International emergency channel. The transmission goes out in English, then Farsi, then English again. 3 iterations. 30 seconds total. Standard procedure. If any human operator is monitoring on the Iranian side, aboard Sierra 4, at a ground control station, anywhere with a radio receiver, the call is heard. No response. Hotel 7 holds course, holds speed at 143 knots, holds altitude at approximately 80 feet. The geometry continues to close with no deviation. CPA 5.3 nautical miles. Time to CPA 2 minutes 44 seconds. Then 4.6. Then 3.9. The threshold is 3 nautical miles. The contact is at 3.9 nautical miles and closing. The math runs identically on every CEC network display in the formation. Lincoln, Chosin, Dunham, Cole, the E2D, the intercepting FA, 18Fs. The engagement quality solution is resident and waiting. Under 2 nautical miles at 143 knots, a human decision cycle cannot keep pace with physics. The standing order framework acknowledges this. Launch on detect authority exists at the defined threshold not because humans choose to remove themselves from the decision loop, but because at that range and that speed, physics removes the loop and leaves only outcome. The CIC is quiet. Boot soles on steel deck, the hum of air handlers above, the soft metronomic tones of the tactical net. Nothing else. Hold ROE. The CO's voice carries no urgency. Only the precision of someone who knows the exact distance to the line and has decided where to stand. CPA? 3.4 nautical miles. Time to CPA? 1 minute, 44 seconds. 022219. Hotel 7 deviates. The track bends left. Not sharply, not a hard brake, not a defensive jink, a gradual, controlled course change. Heading shifts from 105 degrees to 118, then 131. The CPA calculation runs automatically across every networked display in the formation. CPA recalculates 4.2 nautical miles, then 5.8, then 7.4 and opening. The contact is turning south, the approach geometry is dissolving. The compression spiral that has been tightening for 8 minutes reverses direction in the same measured, controlled way it was constructed. Hotel 7 is altering course, the E2D calls. Flat, without affect, a fact delivered as a fact. The TAO does not adjust his posture. Log it. 022247. Hotel 7 continues south. Speed decreases from 143 knots to 108. Assessed altitude rises from 80 feet to approximately 200 feet. The nap of the Earth profile drops. The contact is no longer suppressed. CPA widens to 9.3 nautical miles and continues opening. The carrier maintains course. That is doctrine. The FE 18Fs do not break off. They continue shadowing Hotel 7 from altitude on the APG. 7-9 locks, documenting every heading change, every altitude shift, every speed variation in the departure geometry. The contact is leaving. The collection continues regardless. Sierra 4 begins to move. After 31 minutes of stationary positioning, the surface vessel accelerates northwest at an assessed 18 knots, back toward Iranian territorial waters. Sierra 4's departure and Hotel 7's course change are separated by 28 seconds in the log. The log captures both timestamps without editorial, no celebration. One problem dissolving, documented in real time. 0223. 40. The subsurface contact, Sierra 5, ceases its sprint. Bearing drift slows, acoustic signature intensity decreases. The Seahawk's passive sonobuoy array reports the contact is reducing speed and appears to be increasing depth. Assess transition from sprint profile back to drift and listen. The submarine's behavioral timeline aligns with Hotel 7's. Sprint initiated during Hotel 7's inbound approach. Sprint ceases within minutes of Hotel 7's departure. The correlation between the three contacts, the drone, the surface relay vessel, and the subsurface platform, is logged in the ASW coordinators section of the watch log. 3 domains, 1 event, continue sanitization, log all tracks. 0257 local. Hotel 7 fades below detection threshold at 183 nautical miles, tracking southwest. Sierra 4 is 94 nautical miles northwest and continuing toward territorial waters. The subsurface contact has lost track quality. Last reliable bearing fix placed it on a northwest heading, consistent with withdrawal toward Iranian waters. At 0301, air defense condition yellow is secured. The strike group returns to normal watch rotation. The FE 18Fs recover aboard Lincoln at 0318 local, both tailhooks catching the number 3 wire in the dark, with the practiced certainty of air crews who have done this in worse conditions than a flat Arabian Sea at 0300. Deck crews chain the aircraft down. Fuel crews move in. The flight deck returns to overnight configuration. 0341 local. Post-event analysis. The intelligence team aboard Lincoln begins its work. What the watch team experienced as a threat encounter, the intelligence team processes as a collection event. The framing matters. An encounter ends when the contact departs. A collection event ends when the last datum is extracted. And that process is already underway. Hotel 7's 47-minute flight profile, low altitude, 0 emissions except for a 4-second navigation burst, reduced radar cross-section, speed increase during the compression phase, coordinated departure aligned with Sierra 4 is a documented operational methodology. It was constructed to probe the detection limits of a U.S. carrier strike group's integrated sensor architecture. Specifically, the design assumptions behind the nap of the Earth approach profile appear to have been built around the capabilities of surface-based radar, the SPY-1D class of systems operated by every ship in the strike group. What the operators on the Iranian side may not have fully accounted for: the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye's elevated detection geometry. At altitude, the Hawkeye looks down across the surface clutter layer that nap of the Earth flight profiles rely on for radar masking. The detection at 141 nautical miles occurred approximately 14 minutes earlier than a detection geometry model based solely on surface radar capabilities would have predicted. That 14-minute gap, the difference between assessed detection timing and actual detection timing, is now a documented operational data point for Strike Group 12 and for every analytical center up the intelligence chain. The 4-second navigation emitter burst is cataloged in full: waveform, frequency, duration, timing, relative to Hotel Udarapay 7's apparent waypoint geometry. If that navigation system emits again, on any Iranian platform, in any theater, every ESM library in the U.S., fleet will acquire it passively with no warning reaching the emitter. The 2-second fire control sweep from Sierra 4 is analyzed against Hotel 7's behavior in the 28 seconds following the emission. No observed course correction was executed by Hotel 7 in that window, but Sierra 4's departure occurred 28 seconds after Hotel 7's course change began. If the fire control sweep was a stand-down signal rather than a targeting update, a coded command rather than a sensor calibration, then the signal waveform associated with that stand-down command now lives in the threat library. Future occurrences of the same waveform will carry an assessed meaning. The FLIR footage from Nighthawk 4 provides the most forensically significant collection from the event: multiple aspect angles at close range, airframe geometry profiles, exhaust nozzle configuration, wing sweep contour, surface treatment characteristics visible in the thermal band. Analysts ashore will compare these frames against known and assessed Iranian UAS design profiles. Certain features of the thermal return are consistent with assessed low observable construction characteristics in the $10–15 million assessed unit cost range. Others require additional collection for classification confidence. That additional collection will be sought the next time such a platform is airborne. The multi-domain correlation, drone approach from the west-northwest, submarine sprint from the northeast, surface relay vessel stationary between them, is assessed as the most analytically significant finding from the event. 3 domain layers. 1. Operation. The integration timing, the stand-down sequence, the command and control latency between Sierra 4's fire control sweep and Hotel Sierra Scrupo 7's course change. These metrics together describe the architecture of an Iranian multi-domain harassment operation at a level of detail that was not previously documented for this class of event. They came to demonstrate reach. They left having mapped their own architecture. 0415 local. USS Abraham Lincoln continues northeast on her assigned track. Formation unchanged. Escorts holding intervals. A replacement E-2D has taken station ahead of the group, its rotodome turning in the dark, its data streaming through the CEC link with the same measured indifference as its predecessor. In the CIC, the incoming watch supervisor reads through 7 pages of event log entries, from the E-2D's initial call at 0214-31 to the final track loss at 0257. Every contact, every bearing, every CPA update, every emission capture, every command given, acknowledged, and executed. 7 pages for an event that lasted 42 minutes and 29 seconds of active contact management. The $12 million platform, assessed, flew for 47 minutes toward a USDA carrier strike group. It closed to 3.1 nautical miles at its nearest assessed approach. It departed without firing a weapon, without illuminating a ship with a confirmed targeting radar, without achieving any operational effect that can be publicly claimed by the Iranian side. What it left behind: 7 pages of log entries, a FLIR footage archive being analyzed at multiple levels of the intelligence architecture, an emitter waveform now resident in every fleet ESM library, a command and control timing correlation that describes an integration architecture, and a sensor performance calibration that will improve the CEC network's predictive capability on the next event. The event also confirmed, with precision, exactly where the detection edge sits, and it was farther out than the operational planners on the other side appear to have assessed. Iran intended pressure. They delivered signatures. The watch supervisor writes the opening log entry for the new watch period. 3 words. All contacts clear. The sea runs flat and dark in all directions. The radar sweeps continue. The ship moves forward. In the threat library, every entry from tonight is permanent. In the doctrine files, new parameters have been entered. In the algorithms that govern how this fleet detects, classifies, and responds to low observable unmanned systems, parameters informed by 47 minutes of an Iranian platform testing the edge of what an American carrier strike group can see. The parameters have shifted. They found the edge. It was farther out than they planned for. What looked like a $12 million provocation was, from the other side of the analysis desk, a $12 million intelligence contribution. Restraint, applied with precision, is its own weapon. Subscribe to Vixinavi for more.